Superpowers for good, shaping the fate. Investors and dreamers open the gate. Super Crow stands loud, proud, and true, building tomorrow for me and you.
Welcome, everyone, to the Superpowers for Good show. I am so excited to introduce you today to Dr. Daniel Farb, the CEO and founder of Flower Turbines. This is such an exciting climate innovation, a climate solution. I'm really excited. Daniel was on the show years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago. We're excited to have him back. Help me welcome Dr. Daniel Farb. Daniel,
Thank
welcome.
Thank you. And, it's nice to be back. You caught me the first time as we were just starting to get funded. Now we've had more funding, more patents. We're starting to manufacture more. So you get to see me at different stages. Next time, maybe you'll see me while I'm like Bill Gates or something.
That's right. I look forward to that. So, your innovation has been sort of a dual innovation in that you are designing beautiful, small turbines, wind turbines that operate in a, urban environment potentially. But they're beautiful. So they're beautiful and they work in an urban environment. This is kind of two separate innovations. Tell us about how you came up with this.
So I would say that there are a number of reasons I came up with it, and all kind of converged. Number one is I have a background. I grew up with a father who was a well-known science writer, bestseller, and a mother who was a museum director, also art professor, artist, and so forth. And I'd say that I had both right brain and left brain put together. So I was always thinking along that way. I'll say also something that when I was starting to define what I wanted to accomplish with wind turbines, which was to basically change the market by making wind turbines that were quiet, beautiful, and more efficient than what people thought was possible in the past for this type of turbine, is that some of the simulations that we were doing complex software simulations of different flows, suggested that using different sorts of flower-shaped airfoils would help. So that helped me articulate the idea that I wanted my turbines to be like flowers. So we went through several iterations of this, and we arrived at our beautiful tulip-shaped design.
It really is brilliant what you've done, and exciting to see. And it's fun to see the progress. Since we first spoke 5 or 6 years ago, at that stage, I don't know that you had sold any. This was a development stage idea, well along in terms of
at an early stage.
Yeah, but maybe I'm wrong.
Right.
Very relatively few. Now you're manufacturing at some scale and selling these, right? Tell us about the progress over the last 5 or 6 years.
So I'd say the main progress is moving from engineering, theoretical prototyping, into actually making sales and actually making live turbines. And it's very challenging, I have to say, because there's always some detail that you have to take care of, or some small improvement you can make. And we're always trying to improve things. But I would say that right now, where we are is that we have manufacturing in the EU and in the United States, in Texas. And even though we're always still trying to improve, we are getting to the point where we can start producing in large quantities. So we're hoping that very soon we're going to be producing in large quantities. We're overcoming the supply chain problems that are still kind of percolating through the system after COVID. And sometimes if you order certain parts, if they're coming from another country, there are disruptions right now to world trade uh, in the area of the Persian Gulf. Ships are worried about piracy. They make longer trips. But we are trying to do more and more out of our headquarters in Texas, and that certainly is something that's going to make a difference. So I think that's one thing. Another is that at the beginning, when we first talked, our major, what I call disruptive innovations, in other words, doing something that's really totally new in a field and changing the perception of what you can do. We're mostly in aerodynamics, in other words, the design of the turbine, how to make the turbine itself more efficient, and how to make groups of turbines, which is one of our big innovations, more efficient. Recently, we've been filing a whole series of patents in electronics. So our big coming innovation is going to be the electronics that control the wind turbines as a group. So that part of the original innovation was seeing them aerodynamically as a group. And that's what we call our bouquet effect. Bouquet because we make tulip-shaped turbines. When you put them together in the right way, they make each other perform better. That's different from what you see with the big turbines, for example. They have to be far apart because they interfere with each other when they're close together. Whereas ours make each other perform better when they're close together. So we can enhance that innovation by doing electronics that control how the turbines interact with each other, even more than if they were to interact just blindly with each other in a group, like you see right now. So that is something that is moving ahead. We filed over 10 patents just in that area of wind turbine electronics, and so far half of them have been approved. We're having a very good rate of patent approval. And we also have other patents in manufacturing, installation, a lot of interesting things that are going to make a big difference. So I'd say that the patents that carry over from what we're doing before, and the fact that we've had funding that's enabled us to do more research and development and file more patents as part of that, is a serious part of how we've innovated and progressed since we were talking last.
It really is exciting to see the progress. I remember, the videos that I could see back, 5 or 6 years ago were rather limited, the number and situations. And now you've got all this great video of all these different demo projects, and it looks like some live installations that you've done around. Very exciting. You've also raised a fair bit of money, and most of that you've raised
Yes.
from the crowd. Tell us a little bit about some of your past crowdfunding efforts.
So we've had 5 rounds of crowdfunding, and we are in the reservation stage right now of the upcoming round, which will be number 6. We've been very successful. Some of our rounds have sold out completely. And we had to keep people waiting until the next round. So I've been using the crowdfunding platform, StartEngine, and I've been very happy with that choice. And I've also really appreciated the investors that we've had because we have lots of people that are firmly behind us. And sometimes people don't realize how much money it takes to start something, particularly where you're building things. Because when you build things, you make one iteration, you find you can make it better, you have to build it, you have to get a new mold, or you have to have the engineers do a new design. It's not like software. But somebody I was speaking to this week told me, once you finally have everything fixed, you're going to take off because you have a great product. So it's really great that we've had a lot of people really over 8,000 people that have invested. And I believe that most of them have that view that at some point we're really going to take off in terms of our sales. I believe it's not 100% settled that we're going to have a big jump in sales this year, maybe even in the next few weeks. And it's going to catapult us into a different category. And I'm working on other deals that could take us even a bigger step forward in terms of sales and mass production. So I think once we get into mass production, we are going to really take off. And it takes the patience of a lot of people who invest early. They're taking risk with their money, and I appreciate it very much. And they're with us, and they have to be with us for the long term, because you never know when there will be an IPO or a sale of the company to a bigger company. Whatever it is, it will be a liquidity event. Nobody knows when that is going to happen. But I believe it's going to happen. And I think one of the things that makes me sure it's going to happen is, I'm sure you've heard of the phrase a missing link, right? So we're not like a monkey or something somewhere, but I think we're a missing link in a different way. Is that solar has been very successful and batteries have been very successful. When you have just solar and batteries, you are at most collecting energy half the day. When you have wind, you can collect it 24 hours a day. So that the combination of wind, solar, and battery is very powerful. And no other small wind company has been able to fill that gap. And one of the reasons is that you can't place other turbines close to each other. And we're the only ones that can. We have granted patents for it. And ours have this great benefit so that we can make better use of tight spaces than anybody else can. And therefore, because also it looks beautiful and it's bird friendly and it's quiet, that we have a unique situation whereby we can combine wind, solar, and batteries together to provide the off-grid and on-grid power stations, small and sometimes large, of the future, along with other technologies. So
Yeah, this is
I think we
really,
have a great future there. It's a question of getting all the, pardon my expression, because we were bird friendly, all the ducks in the right place. But
yeah, yeah,
I think we're on the way to that.
yeah. It's great, and it seems to me that you already have developed a few sizes, but the smallest could be deployed in residential environments, right?
Right, right. Of course, we want to use as big as possible because you get more power and more efficiency. But yes, we do have the smallest ones, and sometimes on the street. Like one of our popular items in Europe has been our e-bike charging stations, and they're out on the street, combined wind, solar, and battery. And if they're out on the street, they have to be safe. So we've actually tested, and you can see on our website, we've put them on top of a truck in Texas and driven them at 125 miles per hour. And the amazing thing is not that the turbines survived, but that my staff didn't get tickets. So although
That's great.
once the police officer stopped them and asked what they were doing, and they explained it, they said, well, okay, just be careful, you know. So
I love it. Just be careful.
yeah, well,
I
there are
love that.
places in Texas where 90 miles an hour is the speed limit, right?
Yeah,
So they just went a little bit above the speed limit, just 35
that's
miles
great.
per hour, a little more.
Yeah,
So, but anyway, because they're out on the street, it's important. They survived, these charging stations have survived hurricanes in Europe. And they also start at low speeds. So the combination of starting at low speeds and enduring high speeds is very important. Actually, we just got this week the approval of a U.S. patent that has to do with the way that we make the mold and the blades in such a way that they are a little bit stronger than the way most other companies attach their blades to the shafts. The way that we make the pocket is stronger. So we've got a little bit of technology behind it as well. And it's
That's
now
great.
patented in the US, India, and I think maybe somewhere else. I think China already.
All righty.
As to have one of the ways that we accomplished this.
That's great. That's great. Well, listen, we got to take a break here, Daniel. But folks, I'm here with Dr. Daniel Farb, the CEO and founder of Flower Turbines. It's an amazing, amazing company I've been following for over half a decade and making great progress, doing a crowdfunding campaign, testing the waters now on StartEngine. Got to check that out. But listen, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to him about his superpower. You don't want to miss this conversation, so stick around.
You can get in on the ground floor to help fix the climate crisis for as little as $100. Pause now to scan the QR code to get started or visit s4g.biz/raisegreen. You can beat a green at Raise Green.
Want to learn from the world's great change makers? Find your superpower. Subscribe to the Superpowers for Good newsletter at superpowersforgood.com. Make your strengths into superpowers that will change the world. Join the super crowd today. Superpowers4good.com.
Hope to raise money from the impact crowd. Good investors are as interested in community, social or environmental impact as you. Connect with Funding Hope, an SEC-registered FINRA member crowdfunding portal to learn how to raise capital from the impact crowd. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here with Dr. Daniel Farb, the CEO and founder of Flower Turbines, doing some amazing work in climate solutions with wind. Just really amazing. I hope you'll check out what he's doing further. But we're going to shift gears a little bit now and talk to him about his superpower. So stick around. Daniel, you have done really amazing things. You've had a very successful career, and what you're doing now with Flower Turbines really is exciting. This could be such a key element, aspect in addressing climate solutions, allowing people and businesses to tap into wind at an appropriate scale for a single home or a single business in ways that is aesthetically pleasing. Wow, it's powerful stuff, powerful stuff. What is your superpower?
Well, you're asking me something that is not going to be, like we're not going to be humble, I guess, if we have to answer you. But I remember once I had a conversation with someone in Texas who said, well, if you tell the truth, you ain't bragging. So if you were to ask me to identify my superpower, I would say that I'm a multidisciplinary high achiever. I guess I inherited the genetics for being able to function at a very high intellectual level in many different fields from my father and to some extent my mother as well. And I think that's a key thing because it enables me to approach a whole bunch of different problems with a solution, a new way of thinking about things. Like we talked about combining art with science. So I have actually my undergraduate degree at Yale was in English literature, but I also took a lot of science, and I actually set an academic record there. So I do that kind of thing. I wouldn't say it's entirely from genetics. I think a lot has to do with hard work. Maybe I know you only want me to identify one superpower, but I think the other is that I'm willing to work hard, and I think that is more important than any gifts that you might have. Uh, um, and I've really been working hard at this and other things. I think being determined is part of it. But again, the multidisciplinary part means that at the same time that I can identify problems in the science and direct some of the engineers to solutions, or just come up with the solutions by myself. At the same time, I also have a business degree, by the way, and also a science degree. I can see how there's an effect that leads from the science and the invention to the marketing. And I think that's something that's very rare in founders. There are a lot of people that will come up and say, okay, Farb, you've had your turn as a big inventor. Time to let somebody else take over the company. So first of all, they would never find a CEO to take relatively low salary that I take because I want to use the money to grow the company. But I think also they don't appreciate that there are people that can combine left brain and right brain together, and at the same time write grants, talk about what I'm doing, and at the same time come up with new scientific ideas.
Yeah, that's
like
brilliant.
The whole
That's
thing
brilliant.
of
Now,
the cluster effect is
can you
really
think of can you think of an example, a specific example where you drew on that multidisciplinary capacity to accomplish something you're proud of? Quick.
Well, certainly I think the design of the wind turbines is one. And I think I'll tell you another. One of the other things I was involved in, I started an e-learning company a long time ago, particularly for the pharmaceutical industry. And one of our biggest sales was to Bristol Myers Squibb, where we trained thousands of people on pharmaceutical regulations. And pharmaceutical regulations are about as boring as you can get. Maybe there are other regulations that compete for being boring. But what we did is we made it into a kind of mystery adventure story where a special agent is trying to rescue some people trapped in a pharmaceutical company's factory. And you have to answer questions along the way, and you follow him through the process. So I would say that combines the regulatory scientific side. It had to do with actually e-signatures in pharmaceutical trials. And
it's a great example.
It's a great being example. Creative. Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing it. Can you give us one tip for strengthening our own abilities to become more multidisciplinary?
So that's a hard question, but I'll tell you a little bit of wisdom from my mom. My mom says, whatever you do in life is eventually going to help you out in some way. So I was always encouraged, and I would encourage everybody else, is you have an interest in something, follow it. And you may think that now it's not going to pay off for me in one way or another. And it doesn't have to pay off just in terms of business. It could be paying off in your personal life as well. You may make new friends because you have a hobby. It could be as simple as that. But I would say that if you're learning about new things, different things all the time, at some point you'll find that they connect. And so I would say go and take that extra course in music or science or whatever it is, and don't just stick to one area.
What a great tip. I took an ecology class in college, and I've never regretted it. Daniel, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. Let's just remind people where to find the crowdfunding campaign that you're launching.
Okay, so I appreciate that. We have an address on StartEngine, startengine.com/offering/Flower Turbines. And we are currently open to take reservations for crowdfunding. We're going to open a new campaign very soon. And
fantastic,
we do offer
fantastic.
a special
Well, we're thrilled.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us. We're at the end of our time, but we wish you every success. Now, let's do some good.
Thank you.